And straight away to the news, where over 1.6 million Kenyans have so far registered for the Social Health Authority that is set to be rolled out on October the 1st, 2024. Nairobi County has registered the highest number of those, on shift, while Tana River County has the least. In order to improve the numbers, the Ministry of Interior and that of Health will be engaging national government administration officers in their regions across the country to mobilize registration.
Tuesday, the 1st of October, will see Kenya transition from the now repealed National Health Insurance Fund to the Social Health Authority. The registration process has been ongoing, with 1,676,242 people registered as at Wednesday morning. Nairobi County leads with the number of those registered, followed by Kiambu, Nakuru, Kakamega and Mombasa, while Tana River County comes in last with only 511 people registered so far. On Wednesday, national government administration officers from across the country were equipped with knowledge on how to educate the public on social health insurance and encourage more people to register.
Inform the community about the benefits, because there's a lot going on and they are not informed, so that they can know the benefits, they can register.
I am persuaded beyond doubt that we will deliver the registration of universal health coverage in record time and at minimum cost to the government of Kenya.
The government has engaged an overdrive to register 12 million people by the 1st of October 2024.
Our CEO at the Huduma Kenya Secretariat has written to the Social Health Authority asking them to utilize the services available at the Huduma centers to register more Kenyans into the SHIF.
It's an ongoing target, so we are not stopping registration. We actually about 55 million people, because we give birth to about 1 million kids every year, if you look at the trend from the 2019 and 2009 census.
According to the government, the Social Health Authority will be instrumental in achieving universal health coverage by offering quality health care.
Whether registered or not, from the first, we shall give Kenyans a number. When they call that number, because they're in an emergency situation, a doctor or a medical paramedic will be waiting for the call the other side. They will take the details. Ambulances will be organized in an arrangement like what we have with Uber. And therefore, we shall quickly get the nearest ambulance to your location and take you to the nearest hospital, free of charge. This will be financed by government.
Previously, Linda Mama, for a mother to go and have a normal delivery, the maximum that NHIF paid was 5,000 shillings. This has been doubled, 100% increment to 10,000 shillings, irrespective of which facility the mother goes for delivery. It can be a private health facility, it can be a faith-based, church-run hospital or facility, or a private facility.
The implementation of the social health insurance scheme was okayed by the Court of Appeal last Friday. With barely a week to the rollout of the Social Health Authority, the government has maintained that this is the only way to ensure that Kenyans get access to quality and affordable health care. Nancy Okware, reporting from the Kenya School of Government, Lower Kabete.
Thank you, Nancy, for that report. Petitioners against the affordable housing levy have termed it illegal as it overburdens Kenyans and denies them a dignified life. They told a three-judge bench of the High Court that the government hurriedly and forcefully enacted the law in disregard of the public participation constitutional requirement. And as Ruth Wamboi now reports, Parliament was accused of overstepping the mandate by depriving Kenyans of property through punitive laws.
My Lord, in addition,
in a 6-hour submission, those opposing the housing levy, led by Dr. Magari Gikenyi, Okia Omtata put up a spirited fight before Justices Olga Sewe, Josephine Mongare and John Chegeti, citing the act an illegality in its entirety.
My Lord, you can only be limited under Article 24. And in that, it's not a blank check, my Lord and my ladies. The limitation must be reasonable and justiciable in an open and democratic society based on human dignity, equality, and freedom, my Lord.
We humbly submit that this court allows the petition on the grounds that the effect of the enactment and application of the said provision leads to illegal, unreasonable, and unjustified limitation of rights contrary to the Constitution.
They said most Kenyans rejected the bill as they already had houses or other plans for housing.
Parliament oversteps the bound of their powers in enacting laws that contravene Article 40 of the Constitution that clearly states that one cannot alienate property from Kenyans.
The state was also accused of abdicating its duty of protecting the vulnerable by imposing a mandatory 1.5% deduction for everyone regardless of their income bracket.
We are told that you will be taxed at the rate of 1.5%. Where is the scientific study leading to that particular amount? The figure is so arbitrary that you can't understand what they are trying to achieve. There's no study to show that that's the figure at which anything will be achieved.
They also allegedly usurp the role of counties to plan housing. The petitioners also say that despite the mandatory deductions of the levy, there was no laid down procedure or guarantee that people will get their houses.
The fact that that essential information has been hidden from Kenyans offends Article 10.
The respondents' councils led by Charles Mutinda and Mahat Somane will on Thursday submit their defense of their affordable housing before the judges retreat to give a judgment. With day one full submissions from the petitioners, the bench has been urged to reject the act in totality, citing that despite the name being affordable housing, it is for the haves and not for the have-nots. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani Law Courts.
Thank you, Ruth. The memorial service for 21 children who perished in the fire tragedy at Hillside Endarash Academy will be held today amidst lingering questions on the status of investigations into the cause of the fire. 9 of the bodies will be interred immediately after the interdenominational service expected to conclude by mid-morning.
At the Mwega Stadium in Kieni, Nyeri County, preparations for the interdenominational memorial service for the 21 children who died at the ill-fated dormitory in Hillside Endarash Academy are in the final stage. The committee planning for the final rites for the victims of a fire are on an inspection tour of the grounds, with the national government having pumped about 3 million shillings into the preparations. Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga, who co-chairs the committee, says the event will begin early to allow 9 families to inter their loved ones.
The rest would have to be taken back to Narumoro because 10 will be buried on Friday, and then another 2, the remaining 2 will be buried on Saturday. And so that is how we will conduct the requiem masses for all of them.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will be among the mourners, with families having requested that the service be free of politics.
Tomorrow we will have a very short service that will begin at 8:30, and then we are praying that by 11 we will have finished the program.
Preparations to reopen the school immediately after the burial of the victims of a fire are also in top gear.
Once we are through with this, it is important that I mention we have 143 boys who have to go back to school and begin life afresh. We already have organized a dignity package for them. We will step in and make sure they are able to start off.
Questions, however, abound on the status of investigations into the cause of a fire, with the Directorate of Criminal Investigations still combing through available evidence for clues on what transpired on the fateful night.
That is something that the DCI can handle, and the latest, I think, is that they are still doing investigation and almost are at the tail end of what happened.
Of course, we'll be bringing you probably live proceedings of that particular interdenominational prayer by our colleague, that is JJ Curia, who was reporting right there. Now, the government has instituted an interministerial committee to spearhead efforts to resolve the ongoing universities' lecturers and university staff strike. Speaking after meeting Universities Academic Staff Union UWASU and the Kenya University Staff Union KUSU leadership, Labour Cabinet Secretary Dr. Alfred Mutua has issued an ultimatum to the committee to formulate a return to work formula by the end of business today.
For the 7th day in a row, learning in public universities across the country remained disrupted as both lecturers and non-teaching staff downed their tools, a situation that the government says must be brought to an end.
We have discussed for some time. They have enumerated to me their issues and the challenges that they are facing, and we have agreed on a way forward to be able to end this stalemate.
Speaking during a meeting with the lecturers and staff unions, UWASU and KUSU leaders, Labour Cabinet Secretary Dr. Alfred Mutua announced the formation of a special interministerial committee to negotiate with the striking parties in a bid to ensure they return to work. It said the negotiations to be held tomorrow will aim at agreeing on a return to work formula.
This team to sit down from tomorrow morning here in my offices from 9 o'clock, and they will sit here, and I will lock the door and lock them in here until they find a solution, because we cannot continue the strike.
The unions welcomed the government's olive branch, indicating their willingness to end the impasse.
We have agreed, therefore, that that team is being cobbled so that by tomorrow we sit and look at what it is that we call in labor the low-hanging fruits. If those low-hanging fruits are agreeable, then it is possible for us to go ahead and perhaps look at ending the impasse.
However, they remained adamant on not resuming work until the government meets its side of the bargain.
Dons throughout the country, you know the motto of this strike: strike until we strike a deal. Once we strike a deal, I will tell you when to resume duty.
Embattled Kericho Governor Eric Mutai has issued an apology to the County Assembly and residents a day after the County Assembly passed a motion to impeach him with a majority vote of 37 out of 47 members. In his Kalenjin dialect address, Mutai implored both the Assembly and the community to pardon him for the alleged accusation of gross violation of the Constitution, abuse of office and sexually related offences. Now, a section of residents, however, welcome his impeachment, saying he lacks any tangible accomplishment of the past 2 years, questioning the whereabouts of the revenue from the county land leased in Londiani.
I beseech you, the County Assembly, I am a son to someone too. I am a father, a husband with a young family. To the residents of the county, if I've done anything wrong, please, please forgive me. Members of the County Assembly, whom we have worked together with, led by the majority leader, for the sake of my children, please, please forgive me.
Tunamwambia governor ajitokeze next week, aende kwa assembly aseme chenye anajua kuhusu shida ambayo tuko nayo hapa Kericho.
Aongee na MCA huko, kama wataamua kung'oa yeye ama afutie yeye nje, bas sisi kama raia hatuna maneno mengine.
This is just waste of time and also waste of resources. I only advise the MCAs to have a sit one-on-one with His Excellency the Governor to talk on this issue and solve. Wakizidi kwa hii njia, hata sisi raia tutajitokezea na kusema nyinyi nyote muende nyumbani, tufanye new election.
Let's look at business, where the government is targeting to complete more than 200,000 housing units under the Affordable Housing Project. Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome says already 145,000 units are at various levels of completion. The CS was addressing delegates during the International Construction Research Conference and Exhibition in Mombasa County.
According to the official statistics, Kenyans are contributing close to 65 billion shillings under the Affordable Housing Fund's kitty annually. Housing and Public Works Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome says the government is working to ensure that Kenyans get their affordable housing units despite the demand being on the rise.
If I have 545,000 applicants so far, and I have not been able to achieve my 200,000, when I achieve 200,000, I will still have a deficit of 345,000. And this number, once we start releasing the houses to the people, this number is likely to double.
Wahome says by February next year, 200,000 affordable housing units will have been completed and handed over to the owners.
You know, we are only counting what is direct within our projects, but a contractor may have other projects that are benefiting from our work. And therefore, our target for 200,000 units is likely to be achieved by about February for within the year.
Speaking during the International Construction Research Conference and Exhibition in Mombasa County, the Housing CS is urging players in the sector to embrace artificial intelligence to bring innovation in the construction process. Speaking during the conference, Public Works Principal Secretary Joel Armanyong has called for the adoption of green building practices to cut down carbon emissions in Kenya.
As the construction industry continues to advance, embracing diversity is not just essential, it is strategic. And by providing diversity and inclusion, the construction industry can unlock new opportunities, overcome challenges, and build a more resilient and prosperous futures for all stakeholders.
Globally, the construction sector accounts for almost 80% of all green gas emissions. There is a growing call to make the sector environmentally sustainable by embracing new technologies.
Before we were using pen and ruler, but if now you are using artificial intelligence, you are likely to be faster, to be better, to be sharper, and therefore I expect that even the work will be much better. However, it is an area that requires a lot of transformation, a lot of discussion, because we also need supportive policy and legislation so that we can start talking about implementing.
The three-day meeting brings together built environment experts from around the world to discuss the state of the industry and address emerging issues. From Mombasa County, I am Ann Boru.
Thank you, Ann Boru. And now we look at sports, where the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, has refuted claims that there are plans to wind up the Kenya Academy of Sports and the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, ADAK. He said the government has no such plans since the two organizations play a vital role in sports development in the country. Murkomen, who was responding to questions in the National Assembly, said the Kenya Academy of Sports, which is mandated in identifying and nurturing talent at the grassroots, is currently facing grave financial challenges. According to Murkomen, the agency, which is fully funded by the government, was not allocated any penny in this year's budget. He said the academy requested 600 million shillings during the current financial year, but was allocated none. He urged the National Assembly to support him in his efforts to make sure that the agency receives the necessary funding.
Mr. Speaker, so far I am not aware of any plans to wind up Kenya Academy of Sports and ADAK. In fact, ADAK is impossible to wind up, the anti-doping agency, Mr. Speaker, because it's a requirement of international agency. For us to operate as a country sports facilities, we must be very careful how we treat ADAK. And therefore, for ADAK, I am very sure about that. For the Kenya Academy of Sports, though it may be possible that there might be a conversation between that and the Sports Kenya, I am not aware at the moment that that has been progressed beyond just basic proposals.